Welcome to the Bourbon Experience. My name is Austin. This is my top 3 whiskeys to pair with a cigar. Hey, so obviously still here in Hawaii. I've been wanting to do this video for a long time. This is my top 3 whiskeys to pair with a cigar. When I first started this channel, I did an intro episode kind of saying what to expect. One of the things I said was cigar pairings. I worked at a cigar shop for about a year. Been into cigars for a really long time. I know a lot of whiskey enthusiasts are also into cigars. One of the things that I notice most commonly is people who are more novice to cigars, maybe, will think pairing a cigar with their best whiskey or something like that will somehow enhance the whiskey. So my top 3 whiskeys to pair with a cigar is not your best whiskeys. We'll start with that. Well, let me just start into a very basic overview of cigars. Cigars are composed of 3 different parts. Your filler, which is what is the leaves that are inside of the cigar. That gives you your body of the cigar, the strength, mouthfeel of the cigar. Then you have the binder, which holds this filler together. Then you have the wrapper, and the wrapper is the most, I'll show you, horrible lighting. Sun's going down, 4th of July, we might catch some fireworks, that'd be cool. But the wrapper is the highest quality portion of the cigar. So your wrapper leaves are where you get your aroma, your flavor, and then obviously the presentation. And it's the most expensive leaf that goes into a cigar. Now, it absolutely drives me crazy if you have burning issues where it burns unevenly or it starts like flaking or cracking. I see people unwrap it and it drives me nuts. It like hurts my soul a little bit because it's like, okay, you're losing all your flavor right there. So if you can avoid doing that, please try to keep your wrapper on and just work through the issues if they arise. There's going to be a cap at the very end. I will often see people cut the cigar like almost to the band, chop off a bunch, and that's not what you're supposed to do. So there's a cap, and you can see the little line, and you just want to get like right at that line, and then give it a little squeeze, and you can see it'll pop right off, and actually cut very little of the actual tobacco. Now, lighting a cigar, I see people, as soon as they start getting smoke, they puff on it, and then they think they're good to go. What's going to happen is you're going to get uneven burning. The middle is going to burn faster than the outside, so then you're not going to get the full experience or how it's intended, and you're only going to be burning the filler, and then your wrapper is going to be missing, so then you're not going to have, you're not going to get that flavor. So I just kind of go around and make sure that I hit every part evenly. And then I just wait till it's all going at once. And then if you notice, I got some distance from it. Some people refer to this as toasting the foot, but I've got an even burn now. It's doing its thing. And you can do this with matches too. Matches work really well. You just want to make sure that you get it going all at once before you start getting into it. I should say this is Oscar this is the Leaf by Oscar. I want to say it's a Nicaraguan Puro, which means every part is from the country. So I want to say this is binder, filler, wrapper, all from Nicaragua. This is the Maduro. Maduro is the shade. So as it ferments and ages, you go through different colors. But I don't want to go too much into like the cigar overview. I want to focus on the whiskey to best pair with the cigar. So one thing I've noticed is people will puff their cigar too fast. And I'm super guilty of this, especially if I've been drinking and I'm feeling good. We'll be ripping on it. When you do that, the cigar burns hotter. And when you have a cigar that's burning hot, it becomes bitter and you can kind of taste the ash, and you lose, well, it's spicy and it's bitter. you lose all of the nice intricate flavors that were intended on that cigar. I'm super guilty of it. But for that reason being, the first whiskey that I on my list pair with a cigar is a high rye bourbon. Now this one, I brought these sample bottles. This is the Four Roses Small Batch Select. Not that you can see, but I'll throw a picture on it. This is the Four Roses Small Batch Select. Reason why this is a top bourbon to pair with a cigar. Both mash bills are high rye mash bills. One's low rye, one's high rye, but they're both high rye in the realm of mash bills altogether. So I like a high rye mash bill if I'm gonna do bourbon, a high rye bourbon mash bill. And the reason being is I always get, or I tend to get chocolate, floral, earth, apple. And I've noticed that every time I have a cigar, it doesn't really matter what I'm drinking whiskey-wise, it makes it taste like chocolate and apple. So I'm looking for something that complements that flavor that this cigar is already going to give the whiskey. So for me, a high rye bourbon, Small Batch Select is great from Four Roses. A Blanton's if you want a lighter drinking one, and whatever. I don't hate a Blanton's with a cigar. That I get the apple on Bland's, I get the floral. It works. So that's number one, is a high rye bourbon. My example here is Four Roses Small Batch Select. Yeah, they just play really nicely together. Number two on my list, finished bourbons. So whether it's a double oaked product, like a Woodford Double Oak, Old Forester 1910, some of the Four-Gate double barreled Garrison Brothers Balmeria. If I'm having a Maduro cigar, a double oaked bourbon works really well. And that's also because you get chocolate, espresso, all these things from double oak stuff. Maduro, you're going to get espresso, chocolate, oftentimes. And when I said cigars tend to make my whiskey taste like chocolate, like that just adds to it. So those two play really nicely together. So double oaked bourbons, also in the finished realm, a cigar blend. Now, whether that is Joseph Magnus cigar blend or other cigar blends, that's what this one is. Joseph Magnus cigar blend, batch 86, for anyone who wants to know the specific batch. Now, if I didn't say this, I'm going to say this. I'm never going to, if I get a sample of something crazy, or if I crack open a really special bottle, I'm never going to smoke a cigar with it, because I want to enjoy that whiskey for what it is without getting tainted by cigars. So the way I look at cigars and whiskey is this. I like to have whiskey with my cigar. I don't like to have a cigar with my whiskey, if that makes sense. If the focal point's going to be the whiskey, I'm not going to do a cigar. If my focal point is a cigar, then yeah, I'll have some whiskey as long as it's applicable. So I'm not going to do a high-end pour. Now, as I say that, I just pour Joseph Magnus cigar blend, and it's a little on the nose being called cigar blend. But wrapping it back up to the first thing where I was saying that it gets chocolate, apple is the main notes that my cigar makes my whiskey taste like. Same reason with the high rye from the first one. I get those flavors in most cigar blends or a lot of finished stuff. I get chocolate, apple, earth, floral, some spice. Just that finished quality on the finish goes great with a cigar. It's like right on par with what a cigar would normally do. So it's a little hypocritical to say I don't want to do like a high-end whiskey with my cigar and then bust out like a $200 bottle. I understand that, but this was meant to go with cigars, and it's just too on the nose not to do it. I do think it works. Yeah, goes great. Recap real quick. Number one, high rye bourbons, if you're going to do a bourbon. Number two, finished bourbon, if you're going to do a bourbon, whether it be a cigar blend or a double oaked, depending on the cigar. Number three, a barrel proof rye. This is an Old Forester barrel proof rye. I wrote the proof down somewhere. I took pictures of it. I'll throw it up there. Now, as I've said before, I smoke cigars entirely too fast. It gets bitter. It gets hot. And when I'm drinking a really sweet bourbon and I'm focusing on the sweet candy bourbon, brown sugar that we all love about bourbon, when I sip that and I pair that with a hot, bitter ash, those things do not meld well together. They're counterintuitive. And if I'm drinking a lot of whiskey and smoking a cigar, chances are I'm going to be going through this bad boy pretty quickly. So everything I said leading up to this has gotten me closer to this, which is a barrel proof rye or a high proof rye. First one was a high proof bourbon. Second one was finished, but that gave me maybe like a chocolate, apple. And then number 3, the best, is a high proof rye. The spice or the bitterness of the cigar, the spice of the rye stands up to it and cuts through it. So it almost kind of like refreshes your palate. Yeah, and sometimes like the cotton candy sweetness can cut through, or sometimes just that the spice, whether it's dill, anise, eucalyptus, pine, just that herbaceousness, that stands up to a cigar and complements a cigar. And when I first started doing, like, I mean, I've been into bourbon since I was 18, honestly. But when I really started going down the rabbit hole with ryes and kind of opened my mind up to those and decided to like it, or not decided to like it, when I opened my mind up to it and started to enjoy ryes, like genuinely enjoy them and not kind of wrestle with them, was when I was smoking a cigar. I had a couple bourbons, whatever, and then I poured a rye and I was like, man, this lemon pledge rye, which to this day, like that rye, I won't say what it is, but whatever that rye was, it wasn't a good one, but I actually enjoyed that when I had it with a cigar. The rye almost acts as like a palate refresher, but those are my top 3 whiskeys. And all that to be said, I'd say whiskey isn't like my go-to starting thing with a cigar. Have much pours and then you just break out some sticks. That happens. But if I'm planning on a cigar, a nice, rich, deep red wine, like a Lodi Zinfandel, I think goes perfectly with the cigar. And then a tropical, since I am in Hawaii, a tropical or citrus forward cocktail is like the best. The tropical, if it's like pineapple, that acidity cuts through, acts like a palate refresher. Like a margarita, the citrus cuts through, acts as a palate refresher. Those are the true best pairings, but this is a bourbon channel, so I was giving you the top 3, but when in Rome or when in Hawaii, the best thing to go with the cigar is a tropical. This is like a Hawaiian tequila pina colada type of thing with a bunch of other stuff that I made. And it's fantastic with this, I will say that. I've gone on too long with this. I got festivities to enjoy. As always, the bourbon experience is all about good pours and great times with whoever you're with. This is meant to be enjoyed, so crack those bottles. Cheers.